Hi, so first off, sorry for the microphone right next to my face. I'm using an old pair of headphones, so it actually doesn't sound like complete and total garbage. Um, what I want to talk about is the same conversations that I had from my end of discussing about the gender map, like the things that I said to people to help inspire them to write or draw however they like decide to express it. Additionally, like I'm giving this analysis or this dialogue of like where I'm coming from. Also, that this is like an incredibly vulnerable place to be if I'm just gonna put this online. But like, here we go. So when I was a little kid, being raised, told like the like heteronormative like white nuclear family mythos that I would like grow up, get a job in suburbia, 2.5 kids with a wife and like a house or whatever. Like those were the expectations that were established to me. And like off top, whenever people would talk about that, I just really wouldn't feel like that was me. Like I could always see it. I could always gaze into that sort of depiction, but I never like saw myself there. I didn't see myself fitting in that box. But I didn't really know how to talk about it, or I didn't really think about it too much because it didn't really feel the most important because like uh it was something that wasn't being discussed at all. Like there was no conversation about it. Well, then that didn't change until I started like frequenting the internet a lot more, thanks to joining like the debate team, causing me to like need to look up new arguments and new conversations to have, and like this and that, and all sorts of places led me to like read more or like discover more about like identity politics and identity conversations and like queerness. In high school, that's why I started exploring like conversations both about like uh, where I, where I thought a lot about like being exclusive with what I think about relationships mean. And this, I mean, like, I didn't want to limit myself to the idea that, like, oh, I identified as a man, I'm supposed to like women because um, that's the dating pool and that's the rules. And it just felt really constricting, limiting. But I also didn't want to limit myself to like men or people because I don't think like genitals should dictate whether or not like I like someone, and so I really just didn't feel comfortable with any sort of like limitation on that, like restricting of who I could possibly meet because of the person I really like I meet. Like I don't want to be like, sorry, like you don't fit in the boxes. So that's kind of where I left myself for a while because I got confused with how to like proceed of like recognizing gender as binary construct and recognizing that like we created these labels to then put them on people so they could like be categorized and understood in the same way that we create like a lot of labels because like that's how human brains I guess tend to work, which in itself is a sentence about labels. So like there's problems behind these labels, of course. Um, but I didn't feel comfortable like I felt comfortable rejecting being a man, but I didn't feel comfortable like just like I didn't think that meant like I got stuck thinking if I'm not a man then I can't be like playing a part into male privilege. But like I was thinking about that and I was like, no, 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 because gender is performative and because gender is perceived, because people will see my gender and think things because like I have a beard or like I am like big or things that like would typically be decidedly like for men because I'm in those roles and people will perceive that without necessarily talking to me. I still like can recognize my male privilege in productive ways. So, like if I'm walking down the street and I see someone walking in front of me, like I need to try to make my hands visible and like try to keep as much distance as I can and like keep my like like phone out to be like, look, I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at someone else. And this doesn't matter who they are. It's just on the fact that like I could look like an intimidating person just on like looking at me, and I recognize that. I want to mitigate that and like accept that I will make people uncomfortable based on my appearance, and that's just or like my socialization, and like that's something I just have to accept and do as much as I can to minimize that. So in part, like some of my exploration of minimizing that is like I like to wear shorts a lot. because like there's a huge difference between like seeing me bundled up in a jacket wearing like jeans, that perception, that initial judgment that people will make, like, which is I recognize like there's issues with people making judgments, but like people are going to make them, so I'm going to still respond to like making the best out of any possible situation. So like if I'm wearing jeans and like a big jacket or whatever, I'm going to look weird. Like I'll look weird when I'm wearing like basketball shorts, but like that's an effort to emasculate myself on like a smaller scale, or like having like dyed hair or whatever, or like mechanisms to like counteract like having a large beard, which can come off as intimidating. And I recognize that, but like I also like recognize that like uh, everything has to be like thinking through things and thinking about things and finding ways to be mindful, productive. So what I try to do is like see the ways that I can use my privilege that like can be like passing like a man. So like, or just like acknowledging that sometimes like if I'm in a group of other men, like I personally won't feel like associated, but if I see someone like, or if someone sees us and spectates us or gazes at us or looks at us, like I recognize that they can feel like they'll see it as a group of men, and that's right for them to make that distinction if it lets them like have some sort of like emotional response, because like that's going to be like valid. So um, I try to like engage in conversations of privilege while also finding spaces where I can exist. And I've had some positive like stuff happen. For example, like being able to go to Willamette's black tie, like a formal dress thing, and I was wearing like a bright blue dress. If you're my Facebook friend, you probably saw some pictures of like me with like flowers in my beard, and it was a lot of fun. I had a bunch of makeup on, like some friends helped me out with that, and it was really really cool. And I got so many positive comments, and like such like a overwhelmingly positive reaction. But like I guess the biggest concern that I thought, and like where I'm left now thinking about gender and like how I want to help people with gender in the future, is that like I felt like I was performing that piece so much, like it wasn't that like a natural thing for like, oh, me to be in a dress, but it was like a special moment, which I recognize because it was, because I don't wear a dress like as much as I wear other clothes. But I was thinking about how cool it'd be if like I could wear a dress, or I could wear a skirt, or I could wear things that like break out of the like androgyn, or like non-binary or non-gender conforming folk, like don't have to dress like men, because that again just like erases like non-men from the picture, but that they can dress as whoever they choose to dress as, and they can dress as themselves and not have like it doesn't seem out of the norm. Like I'd love to normalize more of this like breaking down of who can wear what and who can feel comfortable when, because I think that's when we get to be like so much more inclusive and so much more supportive of everyone. We get to see like really beautiful acts of people expressing themselves, like when people feel comfortable, and that's where I want to go to. Like I see I see what it's done for me to be able to like use Willamette as a space where it's like kind of okay, like mostly okay for me to like be who I want to be, and like people might give like a weird look or like a side eye or like post about it on Yik Yak later, but like no one's really gonna be too antagonistic, or I can just like shut them out, because so many people are supportive. But I just like look forward to the days that it can be more inclusive overall. So I guess what I'm thinking is like those are like mostly like the thoughts I have on my gender that I shared with like most everyone. Sometimes like conversations or short stories would like envelop, or like people we go down rabbit holes to like think about different stuff, or like find ways we intersect. And the next part of this conversation would typically be like just talking about like how gender's impacted our lives and how we think about it. And it was really really difficult to be able to like get through all of this, because like there's some serious conversations that have tough questions and not easy answers. But I was really grateful for all the people who took time out of their day to like make some drawings and have a cool conversation with me, because I know I learned a lot about myself and self-reflection, and I hope like it was productive and like beneficial conversations to have like in mapping my gender of like what my friends see and like what others see me in, like in conjunction after expressing myself, like that I get to have existence before my gender's represented in like that particular like part of me gets to be represented, I guess. So I'm really appreciative again of everyone who helped out, and like if you want to participate also, you can like take this or like find me on social media if you need to ask any more questions before you want to, but you can just like send it to my Twitter or like message me on whatever, and I'll add it to the project and like keep it going. This has been really meaningful for me to do, and like sorry I'm doing this video like off take. There's an issue where like it would just stop recording, so sometimes it looks a little like choppy going from like scene to scene, but I'm kind of just doing this as like openly and just like not prettied up, but just trying to have a dialogue and conversation. Thanks.